So hi, Look Rise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
And we're here with
Jake Taylor from In Heart's Wake.
There are some questions here about the upcoming album Incarnation. So congrats on that. By the way, how do you feel about the response to the announcement so far?
It's really good, man. It's coming out and it's a heavy one.
Hell yeah. Album fucking rocks.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really stoked with it. Showed it to a few people, like a few of our closest and dearest who don't cut. Like they give us the no filter answer. And they've said it's our, they think it's our best yet. Gave it to gave it to Winston, Parkway Drive Winston, because he's like a good, he won't tell me, just what's your opinion, bro? And he's like, it's your best stuff yet. Well done. So I was like, thank you, that means a lot.
Yeah.
Because you like the other stuff, but he was like, nah, this is just hard cutting. So we feel good about it. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Love it.
Well done. Yeah. So is there any meaning behind the album title or cover art?
Yes, there's a lot of stuff behind it all. In 2012, we released Divination, which was our debut record. And it's essentially a concept record where every song relates to a tarot card. And there are 22 major arcana tarot cards. For those people who don't know, I don't think many people do, such as the Devil, the Lovers, Justice, Judgment, these sort of archetypes, which are found, without getting too off key here, which are found literally in Harry Potter to Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. You have the archetype of the Hermit, Merlin, Yoda, blah, blah, blah. Magician is Luke, Luke Skywalker, blah, blah, blah. So we did 11 of the 22 on Divination, and we explored those archetypes. And we always left the other 11 sort of vague when we were going to come back. And so take it 12 years later. Incarnation is the sequel, if you will, but it's its own record, and it's very much a shadow counterpart, like a coin that has two sides. You have very much the light with Divination. With this one, it's all the shadow and the heavy world. So that's sort of the concept and the theme. If you look at the artwork, Divination has a stag, it's all in the forest, and this has an owl, a midnight scene. So it's very much the underworld. Everything's intentionally done. Each song relates to a tarot card, the lyrics, the stories, the concept. So it's very, talk about concept record. This is definitely one.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm curious as to why now was the point to kind of pick up that second half of the record from 12 years ago. Why now?
Yeah, sure. Well, it felt too typical to pick it up straight away for starters. It didn't feel right. It felt too much of a standard move. So we pivoted and we went and we explored basically the four elements. We went through the elementals of earth, air, fire and water in our own way. Earthwalker, Sky Dancer, Kali Yuga, Ark. They were different names, but they were very much themed in those worlds. And those were like a natural progression, which also felt sort of typical to go to the next element. But it was like we were just with what we were writing at the time and what we were into, it was that each element showed itself. We've just had the exit of a member, the band, who's been through that journey, and we just felt like, do we also turn the band in with the member leaving? We're like, no, we're not finished. We need to complete this tarot journey. For one, and show that we can do this and be like a core unit with or without him. And so that was the hunger and the desire and something to prove to ourselves to complete that story. So that's how it fell out 12 years later. And with the title being Incarnation, it is a new iteration, taking on a new life, and it's a new form of the band.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. I just think, because Gloria and I, we were going through the press release going into this, and I was like, a shadow record from an album 12 years ago, that's such an interesting concept. So it was basically like this member was leaving and you felt as if you owed it to yourselves to close that chapter of the band, and then whatever happens from there happens.
Yeah, so the members left the band not as part of this record. He's left the band just prior. So the preface was we released a song with his news, and the song detailed why he was leaving, and it was a really nice ode and a farewell. So with that being out of the way, then it was like, what are they going to do next? And that was here's a throwback for the fans conceptually, but sonically, it's a whole new world, because we have to be in order. When you suffer not a loss, because he hasn't passed away or died or anything extreme like that, but it's a death of sorts in the band. We're one man down, we feel different. So we were in a dark place, being like, well, how do we like? Is this? Do we want to continue this? Like, is it going to be as good? Like, we kind of it gets very mental and it gets very challenging to like to write a full album. So I think we were experiencing the shadows that and the doubts that were coming up in the band, and that led into the heavy, heavy material and all that shadowy stuff that we had to explore on this record. So we actually like we went there just by nature of what happened. It wasn't some manufactured thing. Like we were in a really interesting dark place is the best like mental not mental health, but like it was an all-time low. Like our
Yeah.
group morale, it was like, how are we gonna do this? I don't even know if it sounds good. Like it's got to be better. It's got to, just lots of doubts, man. And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's flavored the record and come out in a really hungry, like, no, like I'm not gonna go down, I'm gonna go down swinging at the
Yeah.
very least.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
So can you tell us a little bit about your writing process for the album?
Yeah, sure. So we wrote for a year or so, knowing that Carl wasn't in the band, seeing what we could come up with. We went over to Michigan and we left a bit of room so we could still come up with something that was current on the pulse with where the band was at and in that phase of rebirth, like in that incarnate phase. And we found and discovered some really cool parts while we were over there. Um, like, yeah, we had 3 days off across 7 weeks, and we were in a basement, and it was winter in Michigan. It's very, very sort of, I don't know. We're not seasoned with weather, let's just say. It was challenging for
Yeah.
us. We just like, we put on a bit of weight. We didn't get to move the body much. We went from basement to basement, lots of doubts. So that led into the writing, but it also like method acting, it actually created some really heavy, raw and rich material that we allowed and gave space for to come through whilst we were there. So that's what you're listening to is like, the it's a year, but also a huge on the pulse moment that was captured.
Yeah. Damn
Absolutely.
right. It's like awesome. So what song off this album took longest to write, and which one is your personal favorite?
Which took the longest to write and which one is my favorite? Let me start with
Yes.
my favorite.
Okay.
I, yeah, which was my favorite? Look, I'll just go with the quirky one. The transmission, the last song, one of my favorites because it was like close to the heart. Yeah, one of my best friends lost his eldest son who was 11 years old. Um, and whilst we were actually like writing that song, and I couldn't attend the funeral, like I chose not to because it was like $2,000 to get to California from Michigan, and it was just too
Oof.
hard. And
Yeah.
we're in our weeks of trying to crunch the material, so I just like poured that feeling. He was, Ika was like, just it's okay, you don't have to come. But I poured that feeling into that song, and I think we captured something quite like yeah, like this feeling of longing and loss and a yearning. There's a bit of light at the end of the tunnel in the colors of that song, but it's something that is just very much a diary entry that I'm really proud of. And Ika, fun fact, this man Ika who lost his son, he is in the music video for The Traveler, which was our first music video
Wow.
12 years ago of Divination. So there was a full cycle of that in a shadow way that was happening. Now, the song that took the longest to write, I think it might be Shell Shock. And that was just because we had to, yeah, it wasn't revealing itself fully. We had some really cool parts, but we must have rewritten the chorus about a dozen times before we landed on asking Garrett.
With a song like Shell Shock, what about it like made you guys want to crack that? Was it like the super cool parts and it just wasn't totally revealing itself? Like what was like, let's keep trying?
The theme of it was really strong. We had the theme of it, just as a way to look at and approach trauma, accepting and loving those parts for what they are, and a way to encompass them as to part of who you are moving forward, not to like heal them and just be like, cool, they're down under the bridge, but like actually honoring them, not celebrating them and glorifying the shadows, but giving a voice to them so that they are part of how we move forward. And there were some really good lyrics that we really liked in there. Rivers of gold in porcelain light up the dark in everything. And that's talking about healing those cracks with gold and how they actually shine a light on the imperfections, which actually make us human. So we
Yeah.
really loved those lyrics, and we just loved the mosh part in it. The mosh part was like super solid. We just like
Mm.
we were satisfied every time we heard it. But again, it was the chorus that just needed unlocking.
Gotcha. Makes
Gotcha.
sense.
Hmm.
So how'd the track list for your album come about? Did you guys write the opener be the opener, closer be a closer? Did you just shuffle around and see what fits? What was that process like?
No, there's definitely a bit of shuffling involved for sure. We knew that we wanted our final track to be fair, to be transmission, like as our ender track. Like that was
Mhm.
always that was straight up. Yep. And we knew that we wanted our opening track to be a track that wasn't a single. So
Okay.
that first put the record on, you're hearing something brand new that's super strong, and it sets the intensity, tone, and relentlessness of the record.
Mm.
So we knew what our bookends were, then everything in the middle. We just wanted to have nice flow and
Mm.
to tell the narrative that tells it like a record, where it actually is nice from track to track, not just like best tracks up the front, like typical front load.
Front load the
Um,
singles,
which
deep cuts
I
on the
mean,
back.
there's usually singles are your best tracks, and usually you want to tell your best stories first, but saving some great moments for the end is also important.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So would you be able to tell us where your headspace is at while you're creating this record?
Yeah, it was in heavy. I was in a hard place. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely challenging place. A lot of,
Mhm.
I think there's a lot of doubt. A lot of doubt, and a lot of we lost. There was a lot of. It's so hard to have perspective.
Yeah.
We're able to pull our heads out of the sand because we were constantly in there, and we were.
Mhm.
I was so hard on myself, wanting it to be the best it could be, to not
Mhm.
just get away with screaming on this many tracks when we used to having a lot of singing, but
Mhm.
also like to have it still be interesting as we're going along.
Yeah.
So I pushed myself extremely hard, like just to not settle. Basically, like it had to be greater. I didn't want it, and if I didn't believe a part that I just recorded, I would
Mhm.
like go back and have to redo it.
Shit.
So all of that sort of stuff. I think there's a lot of physical constraints coming up in the body because it's like day after day yelling, but like also there's not a lot of like let's go for a walk and get some ice cream. Like we didn't do that like
Yeah.
in the studio. So that sort of colored the record, and it was winter,
Mhm.
but that makes for a heavy record. So we
Yeah.
could justify it. Like we knew what we were creating. We had to
Mhm.
go to those really uncomfortable places in order to create a record that is meant to feel somewhat discomfort, satisfying in its
Mhm.
heaviness, but like it's meant to be relentless.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you not drive yourself insane? Because you said you're constantly pushing yourself, striving for that perfect record. How do you make this perfect?
Yeah, I don't think it is perfect. At the end of the day, whenever we leave the studio,
Mhm.
like that's the end point, and that's going to be what it is. I like a diary entry. You write how you're feeling as long as you're honest. You write your piece, and once that
Mhm.
day's over, you're not going to go back and like log more stuff because it's not in the moment.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So knowing that, it's perfect for what the time was.
Mhm.
In terms of like keeping track and checking in, so that we don't get to a place of unhealthiness or like destructiveness, which can
Yeah.
happen
Mhm.
when you're so consumed. We actually had a weekly check-in where we'd all sit down with like tea or coffee,
Mhm.
and we'd sort of go around the circle and like say how we were feeling, even if we didn't want to, even if it was like, I don't want to say anything today. I actually hate that we even have to do this today. Like at least
Yeah.
that person was honest.
Mhm.
And a lot of the time, the other man was going through the same thing that the other was going through.
Mhm.
Um, like I'm feeling like this, and it's like, wow, okay, so I'm not alone. I was feeling like that too.
Yeah.
Um, and like there were tears, there were laughs. Like it was pretty raw and vulnerable at times. Like I had
Mhm.
some really challenging days, but just being able to be witnessed like that and
Yeah.
also witness others
Mhm.
allowed us to feel like closer, and we also were all so trusting of each other. Like we have each other's backs,
Mhm.
but there was no like masks of strength, and like it was like like there was humor, but like
Yeah.
this is challenging, and so I think that really helped us not to fold in and essentially like turn into a self-destructive experience.
Yeah, that's
That's good.
so incredibly healthy. I'm so happy to hear that you guys implemented just check-ins. That's so I've never heard of that before just in writing processes with like all of the interviews we've done. And I do think bands should do that more because just that communication alone it's so incredibly important.
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
really is, yeah, and
Mhm.
it's okay yeah, if it feels forced, it's okay to say, hey, I'm not feeling good about, the check, like just whatever you can, but at least everyone's watching that person say that. And then in yourself, you have this whole exercise of like, wow, like I can't believe I just avoided this thing. But that's my experience. If I avoid wanting to check in or share, like that's my thing. So,
Mm-hmm.
but everyone's got to come to the party that this will be of benefit to the group.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be forced. Everyone's got to be willing and to some degree. And
Absolutely.
it's very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I love that. So, how do you recommend your fans to listen to this album for the first time? Should you do it in the car with friends, in the dark with headphones on? Is it a workout album, party album? What do you personally recommend?
No, it's definitely. I mean, however you want to listen to it, listen to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
that'd be whatever is your best experience. Like, yeah, I want no one to feel forced when hearing it. That's probably the straight how I listen to it. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I go lie in the hammock and put it on,
Mm-hmm.
and like it sounds like I'm in a chilled place, but like I'm distracted and I'm like just like I'm able to absorb all the layers that are happening
Mhm.
Yeah.
as opposed to talking about it with friends and then missing things. It
Mm-hmm.
would be good to do a workout to it. I think it'd be extremely helpful. I think
Oh, yeah.
everyone's workout ability will like skyrocket if you listen to
Yeah.
this record because
You'll
there's
hit your
no
PR
stop.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So whatever floats your boat.
How did you listen to it the first time? Like when you got the final masters?
Hammock or on the couch. Other way, I was definitely lying down,
Yeah.
like like in it. Yeah, in it.
Yeah,
Focusing. Yeah.
gotcha.
Well, yeah. So this one should be super, super quick. Off the top of your head, I want you to describe this album from your listeners in 3 words. No more, no less.
Purple shadows, heavy.
You say purple. Do you
Yeah.
have a, what is it, synesthesia? What is it? Is that what it is?
The records. Look, I say that because, like, yeah, no, I don't know. Maybe I do have synesthesia. I mean, I see things in colors, like sonically. Like what's
Yeah.
the like Lord of the Rings? I'm like, oh, like it's kind of green with gold. Like
Yeah.
it's just Star Wars red or blue. Is it we? Yeah, blah blah blah. This
Yeah.
record's very purple in that, like, it's in the shadow place,
Mhm.
but like it's also like what are all the shades of purple like
Yeah.
within that? So it's definitely dark and haunting, if you would. Um,
Absolutely.
but it's not pure black. So that's why I
Hmm.
said purple. Plus, that's why
Okay.
I made the record purple.
I was gonna say, so that's why it was implemented into the cover art.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Huh.
It's got
Interesting.
hints of gold, mind you. There's hints
Yeah.
of it, but like they're like the light sources that give the highlights to things for
Yeah.
sure. But it's not like a bright and triumphant record by any means.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah. So in that same train of thought, is there a certain feeling or emotion you want listeners to have while going through the album?
Look, it's a journey into the underworld. So, um, I want them to have. I just think it's a catabasis, which is like a descent into the underworld. I hope people look. Like, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be healing to anyone. Maybe it's just a pure release and let out
Mm.
for some because
Yeah.
they can throw their shit around the room.
Hmm.
But if people actually read the lyrics, maybe they'll want to dive deeper into themselves and sit in those places of discomfort to like actually release those things in
Yeah.
whatever way that they see fit. That'd be
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful. All right. So, are you able to touch on any particularly challenging or standout moments from the creation of this album, positive or negative?
Positive is just getting really creative and working as a group in a new way that we've never done before.
Hmm.
Uh, like I'm so proud of us as a team
Yeah.
because when you lose the melody in the singing, you've got to find melody in other ways. So that was found on the guitars, and you can focus. They're not focus, but it allows the instruments to actually come through and be the main like givers of melody, which were always there, but they were often overshadowed by vocals.
Mm.
So that's been something epic that's coming through. Like it's like, wow, the guitars are actually really, really like intricately like thought out and
Yeah.
played. So I think that's been discovered that we can actually shine musically
Hmm.
without relying on vocals, as well as our two guitarists who have never sung before. They stepped into the vocal booth to join me,
Yeah.
and like what is a melodic part, which is in Hollow Bone, you can hear, and that's them like screaming, like it's a angsty yell, like
Yeah.
it's in pitch, and that's them doing it for the first time. And I was watching them like like fully shaking, like so nervous on the microphone, like hating it, like not, but there was so much trust. Like I'll give it a shot, but like
Yeah.
I hate this. And it was like I've got my body, it was really, really vulnerable moments for both of them that when they're one by one.
Hmm.
And like listening back when I put together, I'm like, guys, like this is incredible. Like you can
Yeah.
hear you reaching for that, like how badly you wanted it. And
Hmm.
that's in the performance. So like I think, yeah, just our ability, the positive stuff is just the teamwork and willingness to like go to these really tough places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Discovering that like, 15 years into your career is sort of, I think maybe, I don't know, maybe most artists have to find that again, but I think I wasn't expecting it.
Mm,
Oh
it's
yeah.
wonderful.
So for this question, I want you to picture you're on tour, you're at a gas station for a rest stop. What is your snack of choice?
Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its, just regular basic Cheez-Its. We talking
Yeah.
extra crispy, whatever the hell it is.
Just regular, just original.
Damn. All right.
Just
That's fair.
because as a kid, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah,
It's
that's why.
classic.
It's nostalgic. It's not
Exactly.
like, yeah, yeah. And they're better than goldfish for anyone who
Damn
needs
right.
to, yeah.
Yeah. No, completely
Yeah.
agree.
We had the same debate. So we've had it so many times.
Oh
People,
my
some
God.
people will say goldfish, and then you actually give them the one to one, and they like
Mhm.
close their eyes and like, you're right, the Cheez-Its are better.
Exactly. Come on. No competition. I don't know. And on the topic of food, if the band was a dish, what dish would the band be and why?
I don't know what we all like. That's the same thing. Look, because of that reason, I'll just say pizza because it's probably the most versatile thing.
Hmm.
You can put, you could literally put pasta on a pizza and it'd still work, or you can put as close to veggies and salad and probably would still work,
Yeah.
or any type of food. So I feel like we're a pizza because we actually are quite versatile. We can pull off the heavy and we can go soft and melodic if we need to.
Hmm.
And we're willing to try it all. So let's go to pizza. Was that
All
the
right.
full question?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was perfect. Yeah.
They're thin. We need to be not like the real doughy, like
Oh.
gonna be
Hmm.
like feeling, well, I want something where I can really taste the flavors
Hmm.
and let the flavors speak for themselves.
Nice
Damn
Yeah.
steaming
right.
pizza. That's the
Oh
best.
yeah.
Hell yeah.
It is.
But
Um,
like, I still want something where the big slices.
yeah.
Oh yeah. So like kind of like a New York style.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
But maybe a bit more Italian, not trying to be the biggest in the world, but
Yeah.
like, we're talking something that it's got more the roots and heritage, something out of Napoli that went through the Pizza Academy
Yeah.
in terms of the base.
Made by
Yeah.
some greasy Italian guy in a sweaty
Hmm.
Hey,
ass
he
pizza
could
shop.
he could he could be actually, I reckon he's probably got every hair and every in place, like he's like in place.
Oh
And he's
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
probably got the college out. Like he's treating it like it's like, it's art. It's like it's he's painting the Mona Lisa, you know what I mean? This is like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's probably more the thing I was that. But then he hands the base over and then he's like, no, what are you putting on the pizza? Like, because we
And you
could
give
put
him, you're giving him
yeah.
chest pains.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But he's like, well, I had control over the base, and that's all that, at least I can hold up my end of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
All
the
right.
kind of pizza that we're talking.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And for the last couple questions, we're going to shift completely away from music and go straight to death row.
Boom.
And
So-
pizza, yeah.
So yeah. And if you're on death row, what would your last meal be with a drink?
Wow. Popcorn and a soda water.
Okay. When you say soda water, you mean like a just carbonated water?
Like, yeah, as they say, prickly water in Britain.
Prickly water. What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. That's what
And they
say.
call it TV static in the
Weirdos.
US.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
You got a specific flavor of prickly water.
No, I just want, like, water is, yeah, I don't know, Americans and their soda, but listen, water is just, in terms of like water, like, just, I mean,
Water.
that's everything. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest. If it was spring, like when I say spring water, I'm not talking like bottled spring water that's from, Mount Franklin or whatever, or Poland Springs. I'm talking like
Yeah.
actually out of a hill where it's like clear and blue. Like if you've ever
Yeah.
had water like that before,
Hmm.
it's actually so much flavor in it. Not this reverse
Yeah.
osmosis thing that's been put through
Oh,
the,
yeah.
that tastes dead and it's like, clean or whatever.
Hmm.
But that if I could get that and then carbonate it, like,
Oh.
just so I've got a bit of, because that with popcorn is just divine. Like if you've
Heaven,
got,
yeah.
yeah, it's heaven. So
Mhm.
that's why I pair the two together. And popcorn's comfort food, and it's the greatest thing ever. So
Damn right.
like,
Yep.
yeah, talk about not to joke about death row, but if it was going to be my opus, my last hurrah, I'm gonna go out with a cinematic bang.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Damn
good.
right.
I like that a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
And if you could live in one fictional world for a week, where would you live?
Fiction world, oh, put
Hmm.
me in Riverdale any day.
That caught me off guard. I thought you were gonna say like fucking Star Wars.
No, no. Star Wars, like the only place that looks cool in Star Wars that would actually
Mm-hmm.
be pleasant to be
Hmm.
is like Coruscant with the waterfalls, but like not all that political stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, no, put me in a really earthen world where I've got waterfalls and like elves singing and like, yeah,
Mm.
for sure. Rivendell,
Okay.
Lord of
Hell
the
yeah.
Rings, any day. Yeah, Middle Earth.
Oh, okay. I thought you said Riverdale. I was like, why
No,
the fuck are you? But
Rivendell.
Ribbon.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Wonderful.
yeah,
See, respect. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Got it.
All
Okay.
right.
yeah.
And I've not asking the last question. Every single person that we've spoken to have said that it is the most important question. What's your favorite color?
Blue.
Got a specific shade of blue?
It's not lapis. Nah, it's lighter than that. Mm, yeah, it's hard to say. It's rich, not royal blue, because then it sounds like it's somewhere in there. Not quite
Mm-hmm.
royal blue, but it's got more of an ocean blue in there.
Ooh.
It's an intense blue. That's all I could say.
Okay.
Definitely in the middle somewhere of in the spectrum. It's right in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Probably find in the ocean, a touch in the sky when it's mega blue.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, somewhere's in there.
All right. Well, thank you. It's been Jake from In Heart's Wake, and we have been the Good Noise Podcast.